All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. I know we have some more of that are planning to jump on, but we want to go ahead and get started. My name is Carrie, and I am part of the team here at Nathaniel's Hope. So we're so glad to have you join us for this webinar today. What is Respite Ministry to Kids with Special Needs, and why should your church do it? There's going to be some good information that we'll be able to give you guys today. And the other panel is Marie Cook, our co-founder and executive director, who's going to give a lot of the good information today. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to her.
Awesome. Thanks, Carrie. Well, thanks for joining us today, wherever you're at. And even if you're watching this after rebroadcast. So I am Marie Cook, and I'm going to go ahead and share with you my IT skills here as I try to share my screen with you. Did that come up? That didn't come up yet. Hang on. I always say I need a full-time IT person traveling with me to be able to make this happen. But I wanted to, okay, there he is. What is Respite Ministry for kids with special needs, and why should your church do it? So I'm so happy that you are on today. And this is a topic that I am very, very passionate about for that. If you're not familiar with Nathaniel's Hope, we're just an organization that celebrates kids with special needs, disabilities, varying abilities, however you want to define the group of just kids that God has made. They're just kids, but we call them VIPs because we believe they're valuable and have incredible purpose. And God has made each and every one of us individually with purpose. And so my story started with a little boy named Nathaniel, who kind of came into my life many, many years ago, and he kind of brought us into the whole world of disability. And if it's okay, if I could just take 2 minutes here and just show you a little video telling our story, you'll understand a little bit more why I'm so passionate about sharing this with you.
Hi, we're Tim and Marie Cook, Nathaniel's mom and dad, and we're here to tell you about our journey with Nathaniel.
Our journey began with our son on June 6, 1997. And our son's name was Nathaniel Timothy Cook, which actually means treasured gift from God. He was our third child. We had two daughters, a 3-year-old who was Ashley, and a 5-year-old who was Brianna. And immediately we were thrust into caring for our little boy at Arnold Palmer Hospital.
He spent the first 89 days of his life just fighting for his life. And I remember it was such a hard, trying time to try and raise our two daughters while having a son that we were fighting for his life every day.
And after 89 days, we took him home, not to a normal nursery, but actually to a small hospital room that had a heart monitor and a sat monitor, and he was on oxygen. He was on IV. He had a feeding tube. And Marie found herself at a place of caring for him 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
We actually consider ourselves RPs, registered parents, because we had to really equip ourselves to care for a child that had multiple medical needs.
And actually caring for our son, it actually consumed our lives. It was our whole life evolved around caring for a son. I told the people I worked with at Regal Boats here in Orlando that I had these 5 F's. I have faith, family, friends, finances, and flexibility, these 5 F's, and we were barely making it. And I said at the time, I don't know how people that only have 2 F's or 3 F's, how can they possibly make it when we're barely making it with these 5 F's?
Oftentimes families are in survival mode, just taking everything it takes in you just to care for your child, just to get through the day. And so we became part of that community. It was really tough.
He had numerous surgeries in his life, actually more than 7 of them, but 3 of them were for craniosynostosis. And that 2 of them we had here in Orlando, and then we took him to Dallas, Texas for a third. And the surgery went well, but he ended up getting pneumonia. And during the course of that time in the hospital, there's a nurse that's standing over our son's bed, and she's weeping. And she says, there's just something about this boy. There's just something about this boy. And as we begin to talk, we find that she's of like faith. And she says, I don't normally do this, but can I pray for you? And we said, of course, we're spiritually bankrupt, physically bankrupt, emotionally bankrupt, after just fighting for our son's life again, 11 days in Dallas. And as she prays, she didn't pray a typical prayer. She prayed that my son's purpose would be fulfilled. We thought kind of an odd prayer because he never walked or talked or ate with his mouth, but she prayed that his purpose would be fulfilled.
A year later, unexpectedly, without our permission, he had a change of address from earth to heaven when he passed away in my arms. And we realized at that point that that wasn't the end, but it was the beginning, that God wanted us to steward our whole journey with Nathaniel. Because from the time that we found out we had a child with special needs to the time that God took him home, it was a journey, an unanticipated journey, a path that we never expected.
There's a paraphrase quote by author philosopher named Soren Kierkegaard that says, "We live life forward, but we understand life backwards. We live life forward, but we understand life backwards." And so we were living life forward for 4.5 years. And now, after his death, we realized that we needed to take that which we learned and apply it to life. And we realized that we needed to do that by starting a ministry to cheer on families that only have 2 Fs or 3 Fs. And on June 6, 2002, on Nathaniel's birthday, we dedicated a ministry called Nathaniel's Hope.
Hi.
Sorry. So that's her story. And, it's just one of many stories of families that are out there all over the place. In the US alone, there's over 20 million kids that have some type of disability, and they're in my community, they're in your communities. And, God wants us to reach them and to minister to these communities. And like I said earlier, we call kids with special needs VIPs because we hate the word handicap. They're not handicapped, they're not disabled, they're not defined by their disability, but they are kids. God created them to be kids, but they may have physical or cognitive, medical or hidden disabilities. They might have chronic or life-threatening illnesses. They might be medically fragile. They might have a whole bunch of unique things happening with them, but they're still God's kids. And if you're not a VIP, then you're a buddy, and that's a friend of VIPs. And that's what you're all here today, learning how to be friends of VIPs. So thank you. So I want to talk to you a little bit about Respite. You heard our journey, and I think, having been in that space, one of the greatest needs after our son went to heaven, we said, what's one of the greatest needs that this community has, that maybe we can address, maybe we can help. And it was respite. And what is respite? Well, if you remember the old Kit Kat bars, the commercials, how do they go? Give me a break, give me a break, give me a piece of that Kit Kat bar. Well, it's getting a break. Whenever I see a Kit Kat bar, I think about getting a break. And that's what respite is. And why is that so important? It's kind of like when you're on an airplane and you're traveling, and there's an emergency that comes, right? And what happens is that I'm sorry, I don't know if you're seeing this right now, but I'm flashing out of this here. But it comes up and there's an emergency, and they say, okay, if you are on the plane and you have a child traveling with you, take care of yourself first before you take care of your child. And so often parents are not, and caregivers are not able to take care of themselves because the demands are so terrific, with their kids. They are not only managing the needs of their child that has a disability, but guess what? They may have siblings that are typical, and they've got to care for them as well. And they've got household responsibilities. Many parents have to work. Sometimes they're single parent moms, and the list goes on and on. The stress that these families face can sometimes be unbearable, especially coming out of the pandemic right now. It's been so difficult. So respite is our way of kind of giving oxygen to a caregiver to say, hey, let me help you take care of yourself so that you can be a better parent. They don't need another potluck. They don't need things that we think they need. They need a break. And so what an opportunity for us to be able to do that. So why should my church consider respite? Why not the church down the street? Well, maybe let's help try and understand some of the challenges that parents that have kids with all sorts of disabilities face, and maybe that'll help you understand. I want to play this little video for you that just kind of condenses just some different thoughts from parents to give you a perspective of the community that we're trying to serve here.
Every day I think he's close to normal, and then we go outside or we get around other kids that are 10 just like him, and I see the difference, and it's like every day is a reminder that we're not like everybody else.
And even though she's always asking me, Mom, can we have another brother or sister? But can you make sure it's not handicapped?
I can't play with them like other brothers and stuff. So I grieve for the fact that my daughter will never know what a normal sibling is like. I grieve for the fact that, if he doesn't see, he'll never know how beautiful they are.
When the doctors met with us and they said that statistically, a lot of these marriages, either they bond and grow stronger together or they split up, but the majority of them split up. I really didn't think at that time that that's what would happen to mine, but it did.
When we had a special needs child born into our family, we realized that all our dreams would change. It was not what we expected. It was totally different than anything we had ever imagined.
Keeping her alive, was a lot of time we spent, not knowing if she was going to make it through till the next day.
If you could step a day into our life, and I were to say one word, it would be consuming, all consuming. The all consuming never goes away.
So when we see this, what is our response? And, and why am I laying such a foundation talking about the need? Because I think oftentimes we don't really understand what the need is. Some of you that are watching, if you're a parent that has a child with a disability and you've walked this journey, or you've ever walked closely with somebody, then you'll probably resonate with this message. If you haven't walked this journey, then maybe you were like I was before I had my son Nathaniel. I had been in youth ministry for 10 years and I would see kids with disabilities on Sunday morning or teens or youth, and I would high five them and think, wow, Marie, you did your job, because I said hello to them. I'm being inclusive of them. I'm acknowledging them. But when I had my son and I realized what it was really like having a child with a disability and how hard that journey was, it changed everything. And so that's why I'm so passionate about sharing that. But sometimes, our response, we have different responses. Sometimes we feel guilty. And, so we kind of turn away from it. Sometimes we think, well, our church isn't big enough, let the church down the street. They are very well resourced, to do it. And you may think that you're very unequipped and say, I'm not trained in this. I don't know what to do. But, I think we need to think about, what does God say? And I think his heart embraces those with disabilities. Now this verse in Matthew 25:40 says, whatever you did to one of the least of these brothers and sisters, you did it for me. I don't say that disrespectfully, and I don't say that that people that have disabilities are any less than people that don't have disabilities, but there are stronger parts of the body and there are weaker parts of the body. And those of us that are stronger have a responsibility to hold up the arms of those that need that cup of water, need that strength and that support, as Matthew 10:42 says, if anyone gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones who is my disciple, truly I tell you, that personally will certainly not lose their reward. God is very, his heart is very close to this community of kids, So when we consider about doing respite, I like to say it's a win-win-win-win. Okay, it's 4 wins. And what do I mean by that? Well, first of all, kids have fun. I don't know if you've ever thought about how hard it is for kids that, just might have some unique needs, how hard it is for them to fit in your typical kids ministry setting, on Sunday mornings, things are going like clockwork, oftentimes they're like clockwork, and you have your systems and everything in place. So you're trying to squeeze these kids into a very regimented schedule that's happening, Oftentimes it's hard for kids in this space to have friendships because they're not invited to birthday parties. They're not, nobody intentionally reach out because we feel uncomfortable or they don't know what to do. And so at a respite program, kids have fun. I mean, the goal is to just help them find friendship and build community in their lives, and they have a blast doing it. I love this little note that a little boy writes at school. Dear Oliver, I need to go to buddy break. I will see my friends. And love Trevor, just the joy that the child anticipates to be there. I think another thing is parents get a break. If you're a parent, you know how hard it is just to raise typical kids and finding that time as a couple or as, just managing your life through that. But parents, it's so hard to get a break. So I want to read you this story here. This is Molly, Megan, and Maddie, and they are 3 VIP sisters, 2 that have autism and 1 with Down syndrome. And I had reached out early on in the days of Nathaniel's help. I had reached out to them and I hadn't seen them around and I was concerned about them. So I just reached out and called and left a message and say, hey, how you guys doing? You know, is everything okay? Is there anything we can do for you? And I got this letter back, which is really powerful. It says, dear Nathaniel's help, we have almost nowhere to turn and we are in a situation that is extremely trying. Madeline was up most of last night screaming. Molly was up the night before yelping. Megan is home with the flu, but is nonverbal. So we didn't know she was sick until she got very sick. As you know, this is so tiring. I like to think I have endless energy and hope, but I don't. So I need to reach out to others for help. As I see it, we are all one big family when it comes to raising Megan, Molly, and Maddie. Matt and I are the everyday people, and you are the line behind us. You are all what gives us strength to get up every night with one or all of them. When we see something in the paper about parents who lose it, we always say, why didn't they ask for help? And so I'm saying, help. Yet so few care to hear us. But you all do, and it's appreciated more than can be expressed. I just need to have quiet sometime to clear my head and not be responsible. I need to sit down and eat. I need to take a shower. I need to see my husband as a husband, not a fellow caretaker. When he's away, I need to regroup, start over, get my house clean and ready for the rest of the weekend. We need to go to the store and be able to shop and stay at the store for as long as we need to without leaving because of a tantrum. It's actually vital to us as a functioning family. We moved here for school, but we have no family here that can help us. You have become our family, and now we rely upon you as family. What a powerful way that this mom articulated the need and helping us understand how vital community is and how vital the church family is and the difference that can make. So these parents need a break, and there's something we can do to give them a break. I think the third win is the community is reached. You want to talk about an amazing missions outreach. You know, we have seen at Respite programs, people of all faiths come because they are so needful of a break, you know, and so it's a great missions opportunity just within the doors of your church, reaching out into community. I want to share the story with you of this mom who called our office that was in desperate help, and I will let you tell her story. Let her tell her story of how she was in need and how the church responded to help her. So I think I'm going to do that anyway. Maybe I am not going to do it. Oh, there it is. Okay, there we go.
Hi, I'm Shauna Campbell. I have 3 kids with special need. On one specific day, my middle son, David, was arrested by the police at the age of 5. And they have to call for the supervisor. The police that assigned to the school have to call for the supervisor to come to get David because he was on the middle of the street. And a car that was passing stopped and helped the police to capture him, which they did, and they put him in a zip tie. They bring him to his occupational therapy the evening. Within 2 minutes of going there, they bring him back home. He's kicking, carrying on, he kicked my car, he dented. I'm gonna kill you. He's gonna kill everybody in the house. And I just got crying. I said, God, if it's no, I need you to give me the strength. And I said, God, I feel like killing David. I want to hurt him. I want him gone. Same time, my phone rang. It was the lawyer who called and said she need more papers for David's case. I said to her, without me thinking, I'm on the phone, I want to kill David. And she said to me, Miss Campbell, what is going on? I said, ma'am, I want to kill him. I just want him out of my life. It's too much for me to bear. They just arrested him. She said to me, I'm going to send you the link to Nathaniel Hope. And she did. And when I called, I didn't give the lady no time to say who she was.
I got a call from Shauna, and she was a broken mom. She was at the end of her rope. She was overwhelmed. She said, I need 1 hour. I just want 1 hour.
I said, I need an hour. I want to sleep. I want to sleep in my car, just an hour to take care of my kids.
We talked a little bit. We talked about Buddy Break. I explained to her the program, how to get in touch with, a program that she could get keyed into. And then we hung up.
But within 2 or 3 minutes, she called me back. And she said to me, "Can I pray with you?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am, you may."
I prayed for her and asked for God's, strength and support for her to help her with her children.
When she prayed for me, I find myself with the strength to move on and to go home, fix dinner, bathe them, and take care of them for that day.
So it was a Wednesday or Thursday, and I had received an email and a phone call from a VIP mom asking if we had space for her VIP kids at our program at Discovery Church. And at that time, going into that month, we were already on a wait list. I reached out to her and had a phone conversation, and the desperation in her voice just really touched my heart. So I told her I'd get back with her in a couple of days, and I reached out to my leadership team, just started praying about it, and just, God, if you want these kids to be here this weekend, and I just felt like he did, that he would provide a way. And like he always does, he shows up, and he did. We had 2 kids call out sick. And one VIP child ended up having to go out of town last minute. So I was able to have a spot for all 3 of the kids.
From that first Saturday when my kids enter here at Nathaniel Hope, the body break program, it has been a difference in their life. It takes David 2 months in order for him to talk to the volunteer here. But he come and he's excited, he's now talking to them, playing.
I was so excited when they walked in that next Saturday morning. You could just see the burden being released off her, and her kids came in happy to see us, and they were just the sweetest, cutest. They're one of our favorite families here at Discovery.
Every month, my kids are happy to come here, especially my oldest one. He said, "Mommy, it's that time again. You're going to take your break."
I think Buddy Break is super important. We go on a waiting list every month, and the need out there in the community, I think the statistics that I had read years ago was that we had over, 30,000 kids just in Orange County. So we're not even scratching the surface by providing this care. And just the moms that I've encountered personally, it's really the only break they get.
Body Break has been a safe place for me and my kids. I really don't trust people with my kids, and I come here and I feel safe, and my kids feel safe of their surrounding. And thank Body Break and thank Nathaniel Hope and the volunteers that always show up each and every month to take care of these kids.
I love that story because it's a true story, and it shows the impact that a church can have on one family just by reaching out with love and providing respite care for that. So far the 3 wins are kids have fun, they find community, they find friendship. Number 2, second win, parents get a break, much needed break. 3, the community is reached. And the 4th win would be that volunteers are trained. Now, I know when we talk about adding a ministry or adding a component of ministry to your already busy ministry, you think, where on earth am I going to get volunteers? How am I going to get volunteers? I know there's kids with special needs out there, but we're not equipped. We don't have the people, the manpower. But, when you start a respite program, it is a great opportunity to call out people to volunteer. We have find people come out of the woodwork, people who aren't even serving in the church, like top level executives, senior citizens, high school students, just typical moms and dads that haven't been plugged into ministry. For some reason, this ministry draws on their heart to come. And, we say no experience necessary. You don't have to have experience. If you can love a child and you can hang out with them for 3 hours, then we provide fun activities for them to do together. It's great hands-on training. Now, we do provide training that your volunteers have to be equipped and trained about to get comfortable with disability, but some of the greatest training is the hands-on. The great thing is that when you get these folks to do respite once a month for 3 hours to give caregivers a break, then they're beginning to build relationships with these families. And so you can begin to transition these volunteers into serving once or twice a month on Sunday morning to be a buddy to a child, so that the child could be integrated into into the services and what your program is on Sunday mornings. So it's a great way to train volunteers. So, and just, I love just seeing these faces and how those connection points. So let's look and see, what does a respite program look like? What does it look like? So typically a respite program would take place at your local church. And I'm going to show you one more video. I promise it's the last one, but I just feel like it shows you a little bit of what it looks like. But this shows you the impact of how, if you can just step back and see the program and how it impacts the volunteers, the kids, and everybody. And then we'll kind of go back by a little bit step by step of what it takes your church to be able to do a program like this.
What does Buddy Break mean for us? It's time alone. It's time for us to be able to reconnect and go get some things done that we haven't been able to do. And for our children, especially for Elijah, it's an opportunity to come have some fun, be a little independent, and hang out with a buddy that he looks forward to hanging out with and having a wonderful time with.
I've been doing Butter Break for a month or two now, and I've just really been interacting with Elijah in grade school during the band and during worship, and I knew he did Buddy Break, so I wanted to do it with him. And it's a really great experience for both of us just because he's a great kid, and I love being around him.
He looks forward to it so much every month. They ask, when is Buddy Break? Is Buddy Break this weekend? Is Buddy Break this weekend? Especially Elijah. He also has two siblings who are typical who come, and they love to come too. But for Elijah to come and hang out with Ben, he gets to play his guitar. Today he led worship, which was just awesome for him since that's what he wants to do when he grows up.
My favorite thing is guitar. Ben loves me so because he passes guitar with me, right? And every time he practices, and he gets better and better every day.
I think that gives him an opportunity to stretch his independence and kind of, show his personality a little bit more.
Here I go!
For Elijah, I know it's just really been a blessing, and he just really, really, really loves it. And like Nick said, for us too, we kind of get a couple hours to go and have lunch without kids and actually talk without interruption. So Buddy Break is just an amazing thing, and we love it, and Elijah loves it. Our other boys love it. It's just such a blessing to so many families. We just can't say thank you enough.
So one of the greatest things about this story is right before COVID, I guess it was about a year and a half ago or so, I went to visit this church where Ben and Elijah were a part of. And so this is 10 years later, Ben and Elijah at Buddy Break, still leading worship together. And I think that's one of the greatest stories of, just taking a tool like Respite and how that friendship has continued over 10 years, and how, it's just such a great way to connect the body of Christ together in ways that maybe Ben and Elijah would have never connected before. So that's like one of my favorite stories to share. So here's things to consider when you want to do a respite program. The great thing is that you probably have everything you need at your location, which is the church, and we feel strongly that providing respite at the church is awesome because you're bringing people in through the doors of the church and they're coming to your place. And, we find some churches may take their sanctuary and they'll divide it up into sections and maybe have a large meeting area. But then in addition to that, they may have like several small rooms to provide different kinds of activities. And the kind of activities can vary in whatever that is. But the big thing is it's a church. So usually having like some kind of meeting space and then having different classrooms and spaces to do different activities is what you need to start with Respite. Then you got to think about building your team. As I mentioned before, you can see all kinds of age demographics in here. It's beautiful. It is such a great intergenerational ministry of calling together people from your congregation and even sometimes the community. We have partnered before, and churches have partnered before with colleges, universities, folks that are studying maybe to be special ed teachers or therapists or things like that, but just everyday normal people. These people are just everyday normal people who want to make a difference, who want to serve, who want to be the hands and feet extended to Jesus, of Jesus extended to this community. So it's important that you build your team. Usually a 1-to-1 ratio is best for the kids, like 1 child to 1 volunteer, because then they can get lots of attention. And that's even for the siblings as well. So there's lots of ways to recruit and equip your volunteers, but it's all run by people. Just like Dunkin' Donuts, this nation runs on Dunkin'. Have you heard that before? So Buddy Break runs on volunteers, and it's amazing, the army that happens. And the great thing is, you can manage your program. You can do a respite program with 3 kids, or you can do it. Our largest program operates in Illinois with over 100 kids. And it's very expandable, or you can do it very small just to reach the kids in your church. Activities are fun. It's basically, you can do any type of activity. So if we say like you have a large or just a meeting room where you can kind of put kids together. During COVID, things have been a little bit different though. So there have been some modifications a little bit, but as you probably have in your typical kids ministry as well. But activities could be anything. You could do the same activities every month and the kids will not care, because the most important thing is the relational part of the buddy working one-on-one with the kids. But you can have crafts, you can have just different fun activities. This is a really fun one. It's a messy one. You can get as messy as you like. A lot of it, again, is interaction. It's just learning how to interact with your VIP. And just, having fun with them, just being as creative as you can, whether you've got dress up rooms or craft rooms or bubble rooms, or maybe you play games, whatever that may be, worship time with music. There's a dog back there, therapy dogs, all sorts of fun things like that. So you have all kinds of activities within the time in the 3-hour period. Then you've got to consider safety and risk management. I think this is one of the most important things to really evaluate. So what risk management is like weighing out all the things that could possibly go wrong and trying to put good practices in place so that they won't happen, right? And so we've actually thought a lot about risk management and safety. That's imminent, because these families, unlike Sunday morning, when parents may drop off a child with a disability into your Sunday morning program, they typically stay on campus and you can reach them right away. Just run to the other room and get them. When you do a respite program, they're dropping their kids off and they're leaving typically. And so you want to make sure that you are making this as safe as it can be for your VIP kids, for siblings, and for the volunteers that are serving as well. So we really address that in a big way. Funding, people will say, well, my church can't afford it. My budget is maxed out. But funding, it doesn't have, some churches have a great just budget that they can bring in petting zoos and they can buy things from Oriental Trading Company all the time, or they can do things. Or sometimes it's like, hey, let's just put a list out there and people go to garage sales and here's the things that we need. Or you can use the toys and the craft items that you already have in your church and you just put them to use like that. It doesn't have to be expensive. I mean, this is a box back there that this child is having fun under there, but it doesn't have to take a lot of money to fund the program. We do encourage it, including siblings, because oftentimes all the attention goes toward the child with a disability and siblings get left behind. And, if we don't show them love and attention and affirmation, that they're going to look for it in other places. So how great is it that we can love on siblings as well, and actually the whole family unit for that reason. So you might be thinking, okay, I got an idea, Marie, this looks kind of fun, but how do I begin? Well, I am so glad you asked. But before I do that, I'm going to stop share here and I'm going to bring Carrie back on, who's behind that dark screen. So Carrie, she's on our team here, but Carrie is actually the grandma of Buddy Break. That's right. She doesn't look like a grandma, but she's the grandma of Buddy Break. She helped start our first program 17 years ago, right? Carrie, is that right?
17 and a half years ago. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you ran that for how many years?
I led it for 10 years. And then I transitioned over the team, but had been able to develop a leadership team that responsibilities were spread out. So it didn't all fall on one person, but and that team was able to continue doing Buddy Break. So it's been a great way to plug people in for things they like, because not everything that respite care or buddy break is direct child care. So you kid care. So you can bring people in from all different talents to get involved, whether it's women's ministry doing tea or something for the moms, or men's ministry doing oil changes for moms or dads, just the music ministry coming in and doing a few songs, or there's just so many ways to be able to get people plugged in. And I would say, Marie mentioned this a little bit ago, but I was part of the children's ministry staff there at the church, but I found the majority of my volunteers were people that were not from children's ministry, but they were just people who really hadn't gotten involved in anything at church, and they stepped forward to do this, and then it was a team that I could pull on to be available on Sunday mornings, my weekend services, to buddy up with a VIP that was there. So it just really worked well in so many ways to get people involved, and so it was a great ministry. It's been great to see how churches, it has their own personality too as they do it.
Yeah. Okay. So Carrie, stay on with me here. I'm going to share my screen again, but don't leave me. Don't leave me, Carrie. Okay. All right. So want to talk to you about how, so Carrie, obviously she helped us develop what Buddy Break looked like. And now she's on staff as our Buddy Break coach. And so she works with new churches and existing churches to help just help you kind of launch and be able to do your program. And the great thing though is that Buddy Break, it's been on hold now because of COVID, but it's still operating at Calvary Assembly after 17 years. It's still in operation. Has gone through many leadership, hands, and different people have joined the leadership team. But it can all be part of it. So what we just want to say is we would love to help you. If you are at all watching this and like, oh my gosh, my church needs to do respite, I don't know where to begin. We want to tell you where you can begin right now and how to begin. If I can get this next slide up. Okay, the first thing is in prayer. I want to say don't ever start anything without prayer. I know such a basic thing, but ask God to help you as you want to launch out, because you have to begin getting people on board to kind of catch the vision for this, and it's well worth whatever it's going to take to do it, but be sure you start with prayer. And then we love the fact that we partner with local churches. Nathaniel's Hope, our mission is to help you start, and we want to equip you so that you can do the ministry and you can soar and you can head out and be able to help these families, the VIP families, and minister to them, connect with them, get them involved in your congregation. And so we want to give you the tools to help you do that. And then you're doing the ministry, but we want to be here. So we have a Buddy Break network, right? We have churches from how many states, Carrie, that we've trained?
I think it's 35, 36 now, plus the UK and Singapore, Puerto Rico.
Working with Africa, yeah. So anyway, so our whole thing is that we want to train and equip you. So we have a network of churches around the country. And the great thing is, like here in Central Florida, we have about 20 programs that operate. So every week there's Buddy Break going on somewhere. And when you can bring it into communities, there's churches that kind of work together. Isn't that a novel thought? The body of Christ works together. And maybe there's a family that is from the attends the Baptist church one week, but they really need a break every week. So then they go to the Pentecostal church the next week, and then they go to the Presbyterian church the week after. But we're all kind of working together to help and serve this community. But anyway, if you say, hey, I'm interested in becoming part of Buddy Break, we have thought of everything. It is a turnkey ministry. Like, you don't have to think about very much. You just have to show up online for the training, and we will give you more information that when you possibly need, and a lot of other stuff that just help you run the program. Originally, we used to have a list of all the things you need to get, and we said, no, this is too hard. You guys have so many other responsibilities. We want to make this as easy as possible. So we have a kit, and you know, as we're growing around the country, we're just seeing buddy breaks grow. It's so exciting to see families help as we grow internationally. So, you know, if you're interested, we have what's called a basic leadership training, which we call a BLT, not to be confused with something that you eat, but it's a basic leadership training. And we do these monthly. Our next one is going to be Friday, November 5th. And it kind of works two ways. You may be sitting here today and saying, okay, my interest is heightened and I am interested in Buddy Break, but I'm just not sure. I want to know more. And if that's the case, you can join us for $49 and participate in our live webinar. That's 6 hours in depth. So it's a lot of information, and you know, it's disability sensitivity training, how to run a respite program. I mean, everything, just everything from A to Z on there. But it's a one time, you watch it, and then you might be watching and say, okay, I am ready to do this. I want to go full-fledged to do this. And if that's the case, then it's a one-time cost of $3.99, and you can watch it on live at a live webinar, or all of our training is on demand, and it's all broken up into segments. So if you don't want to watch the 6 hours together, you don't have to do it. If you have people on your leadership team that you want them to watch about the program, or you want them to watch about maybe promotion or how to train volunteers or volunteer training, all the different components that are there, you can have them do that on demand, and you can watch this as many hundreds of times as you want, and you know, have your people watch that. And the great thing about that is if your leadership team changes in the future, you have training accessible to you at your convenience to be able to do that. So, you know, in addition, you get ongoing coaching support from Carrie right there. And we have a national online database. So we have a database already completed that you're able to use and tap into. Training materials for volunteers. We give you video training to train your volunteers. We give you disability sensitivity training to train your volunteers. And we have a whole manual. Carrie, we got lots of stuff, right?
We do.
For everybody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, and so it's just a one-time fee of $3.99 plus shipping and handling, and there's no annual fee. We do ask you to prayerfully consider taking on Nathaniel's Hope as a missions outreach, whether your kids ministry wants to do a fundraiser once a year for us through VBS or something, because every one of your kids that joins your program gets into our birthday club, which is free. Everything we do for families is free. And so they'll get a card and bear and stuff on their birthdays. So those are two different options. So yeah, there's the little birthday bear that they get, and we send them birthday posters or cards, and they get a membership card that we're working with communities now that kids can show these membership cards and get free things from different businesses and things like that. So we're just trying to love on this community and help you love on community. So whether you do Buddy Break or not, you can still invite your VIP kids that you know of to be part of the birthday club and register at Nathaniel's Hope. And a couple other resources, Kids Who Move to Heaven. We have a Hall of Hope that you can tell families about. They can register for, and we'll send cards and what will be their birthday and homegoing date. And we have monthly webinars and monthly tips that we'll send out. If this is your first webinar, we hope you'll join other ones in the future. We have a new program rolling out called Nathaniel's Neighbor, where we're going to equip you to give help, and bring hope. It's kind of after the Mr. Rogers thing. So that's going to be rolling out in January. We've got a book, which I'm going to go back here and see if we have any VIP parents on here. But my husband and I have written a book that is not free. I'm sorry, but we can give them a special price today, right, Carrie? Can we do that? $10?
Yeah, you use the code webinar. You can get $5 off the book. So for $10, you can get Hope Lives.
And it's Nathaniel's story from womb to heaven. It will help you understand the life of a special needs family, and also how to walk alongside of them. There's lots of pointers after every chapter, practical things you can do to walk with a family. And if you want to do this, we may have your information, but you can scan this. If there's any programs in particular you're interested in, you can scan that and send us a message like that. So, and then we've got magnets and all kinds of stuff, and you can follow us as well on social media. Please do that, because we like to do that. So I'm going to stop sharing this right now, come back and see if you guys have any questions.
I did see one come through earlier. But we'll go ahead and pull that up. But if you do have any questions, go ahead and put those in the chat now, and we'll take some time to answer. But Rodney was asking, what ages when you refer to kids?
You want to answer that, Carrie?
Well, so for Respite, we have an age of 2 to 16, but many of our partners expand beyond that. For Nathaniel's Hope, we have many adults that are a part of our programs as well, because it's a place for them to belong, and so that is expanded beyond the 16, and we have adults up into their 60s. That one in particular I'm thinking of that is always at our events. Just she gets on the bus and comes and has a good old time.
So it's mostly adults with developmental disabilities. But for the sake of Buddy Break, we have a standard age. Like we say, okay, at the very least, we're asking you to take care of kids from 2 to 16 for the Buddy Break program. But a lot of churches, when the kids get older, they may turn them into junior buddies and still give them a buddy, but now they're serving in the program somehow, or they may start a separate track for older kids like that. And we've got programs that start with babies. It's just whatever you want to do. The programs are 3 hours long, typically. Usually Saturday mornings work great from 10 to 1 because your volunteers, they can come at 9. The program goes from 10 to 1. They clean up 1:30, and then they have the rest of their day, half a day, to do whatever they want to do. So it doesn't take the whole day, and that gives parents enough time to get their program ready. Is there a Buddy Break program near Goshen, New York? Now, I don't know, Carrie, do you know where that's at? We have a program in New Jersey.
We have a couple in New Jersey. We have one in Long Island. I know they haven't started back up just because of COVID. I'm sure you probably have experience, but it's been really tough for them where they're at. But we can check around and see, we can connect with you on that. And then Carol's also asking, how often are parents allowed to sign up for Buddy Break, and how long are the Buddy Breaks? So Marie just kind of gave a typical schedule. Some Saturdays, some do it Friday evenings, but it's about 3 hours. So like Saturday, 10 to 1. Friday evenings, I've seen 5:30 to 8:30, 6 to 9. So
it's really what works for your church and your community. Because if you can't, you got to build it around what works for your volunteers. Because if you can't get the volunteers, and you can't have a program, and that's going to be different from every community. In Tennessee, we had a church that it's like Buddy Break is like the whole church. That is their missions outreach for the church, and everybody gets involved. And but as soon as, and they would do it on Friday nights because they like to give date nights to the parents, or just give them an evening out. But as soon as football season hit, like community high school football is a big deal, they lost all of their volunteers and buddies and families and things like that. So then they switched to Saturday mornings to do it. So it's really whatever works for you. And sometimes 3 hours is kind of the time that we see works well, but there have been churches that have joined together around holiday times to do a longer Buddy Break. We used to do that in Orlando here, so that parents could have a day for shopping and they could go out and get all those things done. So a lot. So if you, I don't know how, with COVID, some programs have not been operating, they're coming back. It's kind of interesting. Everybody's at a different place. And sometimes we started new programs. We just launched a new program this past weekend in, I forgot where. And it was
Ohio.
Frederickson, Ohio. That's right. And the week before we started a program in Jacksonville, Florida. So in any case, some programs may or may not be available for you to see, but if you go through the training, we do walk through videos of the different programs, like a large church, small church. So you will see what a program looks like on video. Or you can always come to Florida.
And speaking of training, we're going to give away training registration here in a minute, but so stay tuned. But just wanted to see if there were any other questions. Carol did ask in there, how often are parents allowed to sign up for Buddy Breaks? So they can sign up for them as often as they want to. That being said, they can't double book if there's more than one Buddy Break happening on the same day in their area. They can't double book that way. So they go through an orientation where these things are explained to them.
Yeah, and so they don't just show up to your program either. We have a whole process where they register with you and everything. It's a very orderly program, but we give you all the tools so you don't have to think about it. Believe me, we've thought of everything you could possibly think about, I think. And if we haven't, there's a lot to think about. But it's really a turnkey. We want to see you guys do the ministry, so we want to give you the tool. And then if you need us, great. And there's no charge for anything we do to help you. Like, we send you off, and we do quarterly phone-ins with Buddy Breaks. During pandemic, we were having all kinds of Zoom meetings and talking around the country how to help these families. We put a lot of creative programming together to help families over the pandemic. We have a private chat room on Facebook that program people all over the country talk about what they're doing, ideas, asking questions, asking for help, assistance. So we're trying to create a community to help you succeed for that. So anyway.
So if there are no more questions, well, if there is, you can put it in there, but we're going to go ahead and give away.
You're going to spin the wheel?
Spin the wheel. So
Carrie's got a little wheel on her phone that she spins with all your names. So your names are on there, and somebody's going to win a $49 value to come on board and do a BLT. Now, I did mention before, if you didn't win and you choose to do the $49, if you decide then you want to come on board, then we will apply that on there. Okay, it is Lynn Sam from Shoreline, Washington.
Lynn, are you still with us? I know we had some people dropping off, so let's see. You're still with us.
Sam. Yep.
Awesome. Yay. So we'll be in touch with Lynn and get you the information to join.
Right. And as I was saying, so the rest of you, you're welcome to join. Yeah, Sam says I'm here. Lim Sam. Lim would be the first name, right? Lim Sam. And if you decide to come on and join us on November 5th. On November 5th, and you do it for the $49. If you say, wow, I should have just done this, I'm in, I love this is something our church, we're ready for, we want to do, then we'll apply your $49 toward the $399. So we just want to give you the chance to kind of check that out and commit. Okay, Sam, I'll call you Sam. Okay, awesome. And we just believe that it'll be a great tool. And you might be thinking like, well, maybe our church, we'll do it next year, because I know we're coming to holiday season and everything, but it's great. If you think you want to do this, it's kind of great to even jump on, even if you, just jump on yourself without other people joining you, on a leadership team to watch it, so that you'll know how to prepare next year, because it takes several months to kind of get the program up and rolling. So, you might want to consider that if you're thinking about maybe in the beginning of the year or later on in the spring, you might want to think about going through the training. And again, once you're a partner with us, you could watch it 100 times at 3 in the morning if you want, and it's available to you. So we just want to be helpful for you. So did I miss anything, Carrie?
I think that's it.
I was going to ask, are there any VIP parents on here? Any of you on here? I should have asked that question earlier because people are dropping off now. But for those that are remaining, are there any VIP parents? No, none that I see. Okay. I always like to ask that question.
Well, if you guys think of any questions after this, please feel free to reach out to us. And we are excited that you were able to join us. We'll send you some information about our upcoming BLT in case you're interested in being a part of that. And just thank you so much for being on today's webinar. And we hope you have a great rest of your week.
God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.